I took 6 pregnancy tests and
they're expensive, you know.
It caught us by surprise. It was a happy surprise, but obviously at that moment there's a lot of emotion going through your body.
Do you know what? Having said that, don't you feel like quarantine is like bringing up all the sexual tension in your household?
In other words, manipulate you. When they get to that point where they know how to say things and get what they want, they will say occasionally a couple of lies.
I didn't have the motivation to do anything. I thought that my career had ended. So when I made that separation, it actually made a huge difference. I feel depressed. Okay, why? Remember what I said. Always like understand where your emotions are coming from.
Welcome back, guys. This is the second part of how to cope as a new mum. If you're a new mum, these tips are for you.
Tired of trying to be this perfect mom.
I'll leave you with the courageous, beautiful, and brave mums, founders of Mamas.code, Jessica, Melissa, and my lovely sister, Erica.
It's party time!
Mamas.code. So, of course, we're 3 friends who embarked on a motherhood journey and just sharing our experiences and our views and how we found motherhood and what have been our challenges, what has scared us. So yeah, sharing that kind of aspects, but also being able to shed a light on topics that maybe are seen as taboos still. So in terms of, like, let's say your mental health or depression and anxiety. So all these things that maybe aren't as spoken so much by mothers because they think they might be judged or they might seem as a bad mum. I'll let you carry on where you can find us.
You can find us on Mamas.code on Instagram, but you can find our podcast on all platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and also YouTube. Okay. So we are everywhere.
I will leave all the links in the description below so people can go and find you. Who came up with the idea? Like, how did it start? Were you just sitting down and talking about your experience? Like, how did it happen?
Jess?
I sometimes they make me feel like I peer pressured them into this, but the reality is, and you know what, I actually remembered this 2 days ago. We went to this painting and wine event, and this was the first time we had all 3 been together in quite a while because, you know, we all had like our busy lifestyles going on, and we actually thought we need to take a break, you know, like let's reconnect again as like the 3 friends that we are. So we did, you know, we had a lovely evening, and then we went to eat pizza after this, and then we all started talking about things that were going on in our household and slowly started to realize, oh my God, I've been through that, and oh my God, is that happening to you as well? And like, even though we're all at different stages, it was still like we always had something in common with whatever was going on. And then we were just talking and talking and talking. So then afterwards, I kind of left thinking like, oh my God, we should do it. Like, imagine, and I think it was Mel that said, like, imagine how many moms must be going through the same thing. And then it just got into my head, and I said to them, like, look, we should talk about these things. And I sent them a list of like topics. And then I started saying like, oh, what do you guys think about these names? And they were like, you're crazy. Like, you know, they weren't even paying attention to me. They were like, yeah, sure, whatever, just brushing it under the carpet. But then I think every single day they would wake up to like 100 messages of me with the same freaking idea of this podcast. I think I think Erica started to take me a bit more serious, and we met up for a coffee and we spoke about it. And because, you know, like on WhatsApp, so many things happen and so many conversations, you get lost. So we met up and I was like, look, this is what I think. And then she was like, okay, like we could do it like this could work. And then we passed it on to Mel. And then literally like it took about 2 weeks for us to start recording, and literally it just happened, I guess, overnight, you can say. It happened really fast.
Cool. No, hey, you know, ideas. This is the beauty of ideas. Sometimes we have so many ideas, but sometimes you've got one and it clicks, and then you're like, no, I'm going to make this happen. If it's happening to me, like you said, if it's happening to us, other people must be experiencing it. Cool. And so going into obviously self-care, Melissa touched up on that earlier. How do you guys cope with your health, fitness, nutrition, self-care, you know, with at the same time as coping with the kids, the husband, the family, the in-laws, work, everything else that's happening? Like how do you fit everything into 24 hours?
Maybe you can take this one. You're the one that works out.
I don't know. I don't know. Some days I am so flustered and I don't understand how I got by. I think before lockdown, I realized kind of the hard way after having Maya and wanting to do everything by myself, and what Erica said about being this perfect mum. I think there was just that pressure there of being someone that I didn't even know what that was. So I felt extremely lost. And then I remember my mum always saying to me, you know, we need to look after you, we need to focus on you, and we need to get you to do something that you like. So with that, I started doing Samba. So I'll do Samba once a week. And that I really enjoyed that because it was my escape. So I did Samba, and then I started going to the gym twice a week. So I had 3 days in the evening where I was just doing something I loved, and it was my way of de-stressing and escaping, and it was just some me time. Sometimes I would get home and I would still have to do kind of the bath, like, you know, the bedtime routine or clean up or whatever, but my mind was clear. Lockdown, I struggled a little bit because obviously I was out of that routine, and then I thought, how am I going to try and keep myself sane? So then I kind of adopted doing some sort of exercise every day for at least an hour. I would say I'm about 80% dedicated. Obviously there's times where I just can't be bothered because I'm exhausted or I just don't have the energy, but I do realize that when I don't, I'm on edge. So I have found that doing some sort of exercise has helped me to keep sane in a weird way. And balancing that with work at the beginning was hard, because obviously kind of my support system and my mum, who's kind of the secondary carer to my husband and I of Maya, she couldn't come and help us with looking after her. So I felt quite lost. I felt overwhelmed, obviously, with work, a new environment. Things still had to stay normal, but in a completely strange situation. Now that things are less strict, I feel more comfortable. I have my parents around to help me. I'm still working from home. I'm still trying to keep the 1 hour of exercise every day. And that's just my me time. And then, of course, doing Mamas.code has helped to de-stress, because, yes, we're friends, and sometimes it's a way of us getting things off our chest and just kind of using it, like Jess would say, an open therapy session. It is literally just that. So that's helped. But yeah, for me, I feel like I have to be quite consistent with what I know works for me, so I don't lose myself. Because yeah, I can get quite kind of flustered and a bit on edge if I don't take that control.
No, I relate to how you basically think and how you are with your routine, because I'm pretty much the same. I suppose if I were to ever have a baby, I would struggle if I come out of that routine where you like exercise and you like your own space, and I suppose because that helps you as well to de-stress, that helps you to think clearly. Obviously it's some sort of meditation, because obviously you're doing it, you're not thinking about anything else. But I can only honestly relate. Any other tips to dealing with everything and your self-care?
Well, I'm into fitness too. No, I'm joking. I think before I was awful at anything to do with fitness. I think the most you catch me doing is walking up the stairs to go to work. And like that was a lot. Oh, and I take the stairs home again. It's something. But I fell into, I think it was in December. December. I fell into like a deep hole of depression, and I got signed off of work. So I started therapy, and within therapy, I found meditation. And I remember even like my therapist said, even doing like 10 minutes at any point of the day, preferably in the morning, so you're more, with it, that it would help me to try to control my emotions and to try, because I felt like I was losing my shit at stupid things. And again, I had the mum guilt because sometimes I'll be so stressed out that I would take it out on my kids, or I just felt like I didn't have the patience that I did before. And even like with like my partner and stuff, it was just, everything was just going downhill. So I took on meditating. But I also, because I didn't really do it for a long period of time, because I obviously, once I was not signed off, I kind of felt like trapped. I didn't know what else to do. I could only do it for a limited amount of time. But I also, as well, when I was off from work, I found walking helped me out to de-stress. So I could just walk and walk and walk and just be me and myself, and that was it. So now I do it all the time. Specifically when I feel like I've had like a really hard day, even if it's like waking up extra early in the morning and going for a walk, or in the night when Ollie can take over. But yeah, I do that. But obviously during lockdown, I would have to take the kids with me, which I thought at the beginning was going to be a bit stressful because they just won't stop like talking to me, and walking for me was my peace and quiet time. But I think I managed, like they wouldn't talk as much, and because I would like try to scare them, I'd be like, you can't talk because coronavirus will go into your mouth. So they just kind of went with that and just walked quietly. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell, really.
Meditation as well, and setting a to-do list for the day. So I'll do it the night before. And even if it's just 2 things on the list, like it helps me have some sort of clarity in my mind of what needs to be done the next day, because sometimes the next day comes and then all of a sudden, like, why am I making breakfast at 11, and why am I still not showered at like 2? And I don't like that. So if I have a list of the prioritize the things that I actually need to do, then usually at 10 a.m. like my lunch is ready, and I feel like accomplished, because I feel like I don't need to, like, my household don't need me for anything. Like, I know if I get hungry, I could just go in the kitchen and it's done. Or the baby as well, like if he wants to eat or he doesn't eat when I sit him down, then at least I know whatever time he does decide to eat, there's food, and I don't, I just think that's the most important for like here. But yeah, just meditating and to-do list really helps me a lot.
Oh, no, so it's really good. I like how you say a to-do list gives you clarity, and that gives you that preparation where you get up and you literally what you're doing, so you're not wondering about like, do I stay in my pajamas all day, or
like scrolling all day?
Yeah, Instagram, and then you just an hour goes by and you're still on Instagram. Cool. And how have you guys dealt with like the pandemic, the ongoing revolution that we've got, the unjust deaths, like all these emotions that we've had in 2020? I mean, not to mention obviously unemployment's going up. So there's just so many emotions. How have you guys dealt with all that? And obviously explaining that to your kids. If you like, maybe for Joel, but yeah, how you dealt with that and your families and like your household in general?
I think for me, obviously when the schools close, I think it was a bit of a shell shock to his system, because obviously he wanted to play, and we kind of had a routine in place. So obviously it being closed, and before it being closed, obviously they were already taking the precautions of, like, they would wash their hands regularly, and I remember him all the time coming home and he would just stay with the tap open for like hours singing happy birthday. So it was like he kind of already knew about coronavirus and he would talk about it all the time. But it was when obviously the schools closed, and I felt like they were kind of like a part of them in their school year was like ripped apart from them. And I mean, for the first few weeks, it was fine because he was happy he didn't have to, like, you know, get up early and stuff. But then it kind of hit him that he wouldn't see his friends. He started, obviously, I was his teacher now, and he didn't like me as a teacher. So he would be like, oh, I miss Miss Morrison. And I'd be like, well, I don't care. You've got me now. It was hard because I don't think I have the patience to be a teacher. And ultimately, I had to continue working, and I was stuck with 2 kids, different ages, and trying to keep them, because for me, it was more so not letting them fall back in school. And I felt like if I didn't continuously teach them and, you know, try to get them to learn different things, I was failing them. So they were going to go back to school in September and be like the dumb kid of the class because he didn't know how to read and stuff. But then obviously we have a group chat of the reception kids, and then everyone was sort of like, yeah, this person doesn't want to do that, this one doesn't do this. So I kind of like felt relaxed, and I was like, okay, well, at least it's not just my kid. But I think it was just mainly that, explaining to him. And when we went for walks, from our daily walks, say if we went to a park just to have a stroll and he'll see other kids, normally Joel's a really friendly kid, so he'd just run up to kids and say that that's his best friend when he's never seen him before. So me explaining to him that he can't go near people, he can't talk to people, you know, you have to give each other space and stuff. It was quite hard. But talking about jobs and stuff, it's been quite difficult. However, I feel very blessed that I'm still working. But it is quite sad seeing like shops that have been around for years, like basically closed down and stuff. So it's a really tough one. And it's just basically it's kind of like a time bomb, because we don't really know when it's just going to stop.
Yeah.
And you can't be in control of anything. So, you know, all of us are kind of hoping for September it's kind of gone down and it's just somewhere back in our brain, like a long distant away. But again, we don't know that. It could still be very much here and present. And I think we just have to kind of like get used to the idea that it's just always going to be with us. It's our new way of living.
What about you guys? Is there anything that you have felt, or maybe, I don't know, in terms of like your emotions, have you felt, I don't know, and happy or a little bit depressed, anxious? I mean, there is a lot of fear going on. Have you experienced that throughout the pandemic and throughout, obviously, with everything that's happened in 2020? We can all hope for the best, but it's how do we manage everything, you know, that is going on, like negative thoughts, emotions? How have you dealt with that?
Yeah, I think definitely anxiety levels are probably quite high in general. I think even people who may have not suffered from like a mental health issue before are probably facing some sort of kind of anxiety or depression or these things that they probably wouldn't have had before. And in one way or another, I think we're all either directly or indirectly impacted by the stuff going on around the world. And for me personally, sometimes I find that quite consuming. And I would at times literally just probably take like some time away from kind of looking at the news or from social media, just to give my mind a break, because you find yourself in this kind of roller coaster of thoughts going through your mind, and without you knowing, your heart is racing because you feel anger, you feel scared, or you feel worried for kind of the future, and it's quite difficult to move and shift that away from your mind and kind of just say, like Erica was saying, I'm not in control of a lot of these things, but what can I do to control what I can, and how can I do that, and maybe try to focus around that, because there's certain things that you just there's nothing you can do. So for me, that's probably been my way of trying to balance things, so not to close my eyes and be oblivious to what's happening, but to try and have some time away from some of the things sometimes. That's helped, because my anxiety levels can be triggered quite quickly, and I kind of know when I'm feeling a certain way, and when to stop it and how to try and stop it. So I for me, that's definitely what I feel has helped me, taking a break sometimes.
Obviously, you guys have interviewed so many people now. How long have you guys been going on with the podcast? How long has it been? How many weeks? How many months?
20 weeks.
20 weeks. Oh, amazing. What are you guys going to do for the 6 months, or do you guys have like a plan to celebrate? Are we going to have a party?
Do you know what? Can you hear me? Yeah. I spoke to Erica about something along those lines, and I couldn't even type it out because the thought gave me anxiety, and I was like, it's just too much stress. So I literally said to her, I have an idea, but it's too stressful. So I didn't text it, because I thought, imagine, like, if it's giving me stress typing it, imagine her receiving it on the other end. So then when I saw her, I was like, I told her the idea. And she was like, yeah, I guess we could make it work. But you know, when you're like actually deep think about it, it's just a lot of stress. But it's very hard to plan ahead at the moment because everything is so up in the air. We had an idea of doing like an Easter egg hunt for the mums and kids, like a small group, kind of like to launch the podcast. But then lockdown happened, so in a way it was kind of like probably a good idea, because we've never done something like that before for like external people, so that was good. But then obviously we have a lot of ideas that we want to do. We have, we've all spoken about things, but it's a bit kind of uncertain.
Why did it cause you stress? Is it the planning or the not knowing what to expect in a few months?
It's just the planning, really, because it's something that we've all done. I don't want to say it, but it's something that we've all done, and we all get stressed from it. So
okay, well, hey,
it'll be a surprise. It will be a surprise when we have it.
So everyone should, keep their eyes
keep your eyes peeled. Follow us on Instagram, and you can be the first to know what's going on with Mamas.code.
You need to go and follow Mamas.code. It's a nice surprise. I can't wait to know about it. I think that the suspense is killing me now. So you guys have interviewed quite a few people now, obviously 20 weeks. Who has, what was the episode that has resonated with you the most, and why?
I don't think maybe there's one episode. I definitely learn from every episode, and actually every time we have a guest, I'm quite taken back by some of their experiences and what they share with us. So I'm finding it hard to say I love one in particular. I think all of them, in one way or the other, have taught us something, or have opened our eyes to something, to see it from a different angle. For example, when we had views with seeing it from a dad's perspective, and being a co-parenting, kind of the struggles that they've had, it opened your eyes, because you won't see it from that angle. And then yeah, so I personally don't have a favorite one. I think all of them in a way has taught us something.
I can agree. I think on like between us four, my favorite episode has been the first episode we released, just because it was the start of this amazing journey that we've embarked, and it's been the one episode that we recorded within the same room, like breathing the same air, but mostly because it was such a beautiful like time to start a journey. But taking that to a side, I agree with Mel. Every single episode has brought something to us that kind of made me think, like, you know what, it's all about your mindset, because we've spoken to people that have gone through really deep things, and you kind of come out like, wow, like, you know, they're pushing through this, you know, in kind of like they're all glory, and it's just your mindset that sometimes we can forget to be grateful and, you know, forget to be positive, because once we get in a deep hole, we don't really see it out of it. But seeing everyone's journeys, and like Mel was saying, the father side, and, you know, single parents and everything, it brings a lot to the table. It changes your mentality a lot. So I think we've all, in one way or another, taken positive things from every episode.
What would be like the last thing you would say to a mom, to a new mom or a new parent, you know, like any last thoughts? Don't stress. Obviously, we already said be flexible, ask for help, trust yourself in your gut, look out for yourself. Anything else that they need to know, you know, so they feel it's okay. I might not know everything, but
I think enjoy those first few moments and kind of get to know your new self as well as your baby and maybe your partner if you're with them. But definitely, like, because I think mums, sometimes we get so caught up in the moment and we're kind of like, oh, I can't wait for you to do this and I can't wait for you to do that, and we kind of lose track on the moment they're living in now. And I know the girls can say the same, like, you, now that they're big and so independent, you kind of look back at pictures and you're like, oh, wish I would have cherished these moments more, you know, kind of like Melissa says, like, you know, maybe put your phone to a side and just enjoy like bonding time. Like, the world can wait, like this moment you will never get back. And it's so true. Like, I've been through 2 and I haven't learned. And now that Caden's so big, I just look at him and I'm like, oh, damn it. And he's like my last baby, so I'm gonna have to buy a dog and cherish them when they're babies.
You never know, you might have another one.
No.
I think what Erica said about cherishing the moments is true. And actually today I sent a picture to Erica. Maya was very fussy, and for the first time in such a long time, I actually had to carry her so she could fall asleep. And even though I was sweating because it was so hot in the room, and she's so heavy because she's going to be 2 at the end of the month, I really enjoyed it. And I felt so emotional that I was able to, you know, every time I would put her down, she would cry. It was like she was got back into that baby phase, and I really loved it. So yeah, take time and just be kind to yourself. Definitely be kind to yourself, and just breathe, because things will be okay.
Cool. Thank you guys. Jess, any last words? Any last words of wisdom for a new mom?
Embrace it all, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, everything. Embrace it. You're growing from the deep, dark days as well as the bright ones.
Cool.
Not that bad, you know.
Cool. Well, you've got it, guys. You know, we've got 3 amazing mums here sharing their journeys, their experience. They've taken the time to talk to us about that. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And don't forget that all the links are in the description below. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. And I will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.